Have you ever had an experience so unexplainable it felt like a whisper from beyond? I'm talking about those jaw-dropping moments where logic goes out the window and something profoundly supernatural takes over. Join me as I share my most unbelievable encounters where the only explanation points to an unseen hand at work. Have you ever experienced something so impossible, so otherworldly, that it made you question everything you thought you knew? I'm not talking about coincidence. I'm talking about those moments that stop time, that crack open reality, that whisper, "This is something holy." Today, I want to share two stories that changed my life. Moments I can't explain, but will never forget. This is for anyone who's ever needed proof that heaven isn't far, that God is still moving, even in hospital rooms, street corners, and silent prayers. Machines were beeping, tubes were everywhere. My only son, my heart, was fighting for his life. We had 9 doctors, all brilliant, all silent, all professional. They didn't know what was wrong, and time was slipping. That's when a man walked in the room, green scrubs, no name tag, tall, gentle, and peaceful. He said, "I'm Dr. Mordecai, the liver doctor." He touched Logan and softly said, "You know the liver can regenerate itself, right?" And then he vanished, leaving behind a piece we didn't understand. We searched the hospital directory, the transplant center, the rotation logs, and there was no Dr. Mordecai. The nurse nearly backed into him, but she never saw him. The radiologist brushed shoulders with him, but when he was asked, he looked confused and said there was no one but me coming in the doorway. We only saw Dr. Mordecai 2 times, but I know. He was never on staff. He was sent from heaven to bring us peace and comfort in a time when we needed it the most. 5 days later, Logan's last day on this earth, something else happened, another impossible moment. We had just been told Logan was improving, that he'd be taken off the machines sometime later that day. But then at 8 a.m., I smelled Logan's cologne so strong. He hadn't worn it in weeks, and it wasn't even allowed on the ICU floor. I looked at Lisa, Logan's girlfriend, and said, "Did you smell that? Logan's cologne?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And we both just knew Logan's spirit had just left his body and went home to heaven. Later that afternoon, the doctors asked us to step out for a final test. And outside the hospital, a man approached us out of about 60 other people in front of the hospital. Rough clothes, worn face. He asked for change. Said he lost his family in a wreck. I handed him some coins from my wallet. Without really thinking, I just dumped them in his hand. But when I looked down, he was holding 2 coins I forgot I had. One was my guardian angel coin, and the other was Logan's St. Michael's coin. I had kept them in my purse for years. I took them back, tears in my eyes, because I knew this wasn't just a man. This was a message. I got the strong feeling we needed to go back to Logan, and as we got off of the elevator, we were met by 2 doctors who had been frantically looking for us. They said the procedure failed. You need to call your family. You have 2 hours to be with Logan. That stranger, he was the final nudge. God was saying, "Come." It's time. I fell apart. I felt as if I would just collapse. I screamed. I begged. I pleaded. I sobbed. But God met me there. Through the man in green scrubs, through the scent of Logan's cologne, through the coins in a stranger's hand, through the friend who messaged me saying, Angela, maybe it's time to change your prayer from God save my son to God take my son home. And I did. I surrendered because by then I understood. These weren't coincidences. They were coordinates. Signs from a loving God who had been with us the whole time. Some people say, you're just looking for meaning. And maybe I am. But that doesn't make the meaning any less real. Because these signs, they changed how I see everything. I now live with the eyes wide open. Heart turned to the whisper. Spirit anchored in trust. God doesn't always shout. Sometimes he shows up as a stranger with your son's coin. Sometimes he smells like your son's cologne. And sometimes he wears green scrubs and has no name tag. Hebrews 13:2 says, do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without even knowing it. I'm Angela Frazier, and I believe in miracles because I've lived them. Logan's life was one, and so is the healing that comes when we say yes to faith in the fire. If you've ever experienced a moment that defied logic, if you've felt heaven brush up against earth, drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Let's build a space for the sacred, because I believe with all my heart, love still speaks and God still moves, even when logic fails. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more faith-filled content, hope and healing, and Logan's legacy. Get your free devotional, Beauty in the Valley, inspired by Logan's journey at the link below. And share your own story or message in the comments. And if this touched your heart, consider sharing it with someone in need of comfort today. With love always, Angela and Logan.